So now that we've completed our mandatory daily checks on the pump set, we can move to the startup procedure of the control panel on this DXB pump set. The first thing that we need to do is provide power to the control panel and the engine ECU by taking our isolation switch here and moving it from the off to the on position, which locks in place. Returning back to the control panel, I ensure that all of my switches and plugs are in place and secure for my transducers and my float switches, and I check that the pump is either in manual or auto start-stop mode. I also check, and this is very important, that the e-stop switch is actually in the out position, because if it's been accidentally knocked and is in the in position, the control panel is shut down and the engine won't start. So I should always check that this is released and in the out position. Moving to the start switch, I move the key switch to the primary position, and the pump control panel designed by DXB goes into a boot up process and with our opening screen. As you can see, it immediately jumps to the engine management screen, which has our tachometer, our power consumption curve, the breakdown of our hours to service, water temperature, oil pressure, the amount of fuel in our internal fuel tank, and the amount of DEF in our AdBlue tank. Once I'm happy with that, I then go to the start button on my control panel, and I hold down my start button until the engine is fully started, and we go into a 30-second mandatory warm-up period. During this period, nothing on the control panel can be adjusted and is locked out to enable the brains of the control panel and the ECU to check the integrity of the engine and the systems. Our soft touch buttons here gives us control over the various parts of the engine management, including the speed up, the ramp down, internal service lights, which you can see inside the canopy, engine information screen and scroll button, and finally additional information on the engine data if I need specific data such as oil levels, pressures, coolant levels, coolant temperatures, whether my battery's charging, my fuel rate burn, and also the exhaust after treatment status, including my diesel particulate filter, and whether I need a regen to eliminate or remove any soot buildup or ash low buildup in my exhaust after treatment. Scrolling back to my main screen, I come back to my engine information screen, and I have the ability to then ramp up using my toggle buttons and ramp down again. You can see on the pump screen here that we are able to measure the inlet pressure on the suction side of the pump, whether it's negative for a suction lift or positive for a flooded suction, and our differential discharge pressure of the pump. We also see the percentage of our fuel tank internally here on the pump set, and also the amount of AdBlue that is in our AdBlue tank. So you can see from this DXB design control panel, we have all this information within our control panel that is able then to be transmitted through our own design telemetry system to a DXB main control monitoring center, or alternatively to your own desktop computers or your pads or iPhones, depending on the level of information that you want to have, either with your service technicians in the field or perhaps back at your own headquarters. We'll now go into a shutdown procedure by operating the shutdown button, and you can see that once again we go into a 30-second period, but this time for a cool down, where if the pump set's been running hard at 80% power consumption with at 1800 RPM, we're going to use these 30 seconds to cool the whole process down a little bit prior to shutting the engine down. That enables everything, including the turbocharger, to cool down and ensures that we look after the engine of the pump set over the lives of the pump. So thank you very much, and I trust you found this video informative.